Hey everyone, welcome back to my channel. Today we are taking a look at the Honolulu Plus series from Ohuhu. Now I will say Ohuhu was kind enough to send these to me. You can get these on Amazon or their website. They're both there. Now, I know these are starting to get a little frustrating for some people. I get comments all the time like, Ohuhu is out of stock. Are they discontinuing? Especially because they came out with the Honolulu Plus series. So a lot of people are wondering if the old Honolulu brush series is going to be discontinued. It is not. I spoke to my contact at Honolulu. They are not discontinuing it. So yeah, the shortage on Amazon and even their website is just manufacturing shortages. It's not them discontinuing it. So pass that word around because I have noticed there's quite a few people broadcasting that they're discontinuing them. And I spoke to Ohuhu directly on that one. So I want to make sure everyone's on the same page because that's really important to have our facts, right? Okay. So Honolulu Plus is supposed to be a better nib. Basically, this is Ohuhu's attempt at, well, beating Copic, or competing with Copic. Because let's think about that one for a second. All right, so this is a little pamphlet here that kind of just goes over every marker, but what's nice is they do have the Honolulu Plus in here. So they call this one the Honolulu Plus series. They say it's great for professionals. It has the round ergonomic design, so do all of them though. It has the Supreme brush and chisel, whereas Honolulu B, which is the other brush that most of us have, or I'm sorry, Honolulu S, depends on which one you have. I have the Honolulu S because I have a chisel and flexible brush. This one is a Supreme brush. Now, I found this interesting. So the Honolulu S has 363 colors, which is true, but you can't get them all in one set. You actually have to mix and match a few sets to get the final little stragglers. It's really obnoxious. But I did it because I have that syndrome, full set syndrome. Now, Honolulu Plus says that there will be 462 colors. I found that interesting because, like I said, this is their attempt to compete with Copic. What does Copic have? Yes, over 400 colors. So they've changed up the nib, and they have more colors. Basically, though, they've always had over 400 colors. In case you don't know that, it's just some of the colors that you could get in the Ohuhu. Wow, struggling with words today. You couldn't get in the Honolulu series. So they've actually always had over 400 colors. If you have their chisel and fine tip, you'll notice some colors that aren't in your brush set. So just a fun fact there for you. But it seems that they're going to slowly convert them all because they're promising 462 colors. That said, you can only get, right now, the biggest amount is this 36 count. When are they going to release the 462 count? Well, here's the problem. They're having enough trouble manufacturing the ones they have already made. So it may be a while. All right, inside, aside from the pamphlet, which we could keep reading for days because the thing is huge, but really it's just got facts, you know, and then it'll go into the series. Like here's the Honolulu Plus series if you really want to like go through it all. But even here they show you, you know, they do say 462 colors, but then here's the caveat. You get the 24 or the 36, but it does tell you which colors are in there, so handy dandy. All right, so you get your little page protector if you want to use it. I know there's swatch charts in here, or a swatch chart. And then we have, well, the swatch chart. Now, here's the thing. You're not going to be able to really judge it by its looks, but I am going to grab a few that are from my Honolulu S series. But one thing you need to keep in mind is color names and numbers. Like a dark fern green YG414. That is not in my Honolulu S series. So you'll need to keep that in mind. Some of these are going to have new names and new numbers. Yes, every time they come out with a new set, the numbering system goes haywire or you get confused. But I'm going to assume that most of these with the new ones, especially over 400, these are going to be eventually in that 462. So I'm kind of curious how this palette's going to look with these 36 colors. But I'm also going to grab some similar ones in my Honolulu S series just to play around with. Okay, so one thing I'm going to have to do is swatch these because unfortunately they have, like I said, it looks like changed all of their numbering system except for these two. Black is still 120, colorless blender is still 0. I mean, you can't really change that much. But they have changed everything else. I sat here for a while comparing right down to the warm grays. Because I was sitting here like, warm gray 10, porcelain. Well, guess what? We have a warm gray 9 over here in the Honolulu, but there's no 10. We have a warm gray 27 antique silver. So it's going to be kind of interesting when they release this full set of colors because I have a feeling that basically if you have the Honolulu S set here or Honolulu B, they share the same system, thank goodness. It's going to be like the old school Ohuhu set where the colors and numbers are not going to line up with one another because you'll have the same colors, they just will have a different color code and different name, which does make it kind of a pain in the rear, and it doesn't make it a universal system like Copic, so you have to keep that in mind. Copic's system, simple, easy peasy, they haven't changed it in who knows how long. Whereas every time Ohuhu comes out with a new set or series, I should say series, they end up changing the color coding and the names of the colors. So I'm going to just swatch a couple and then grab a few that are as close as I can to those colors, and we'll go from there. But you can also watch me swatch so you can see how, well, we can see how they feel. All right, so let's take a look at this Honolulu Plus if you need a comparison. So here is the old Honolulu. This is a Honolulu S. Yeah, S. I had to think about that. Soft chisel starts with S. So it says broad and brush. Now here, they've just added the Honolulu Plus. This doesn't even say Honolulu on it. So you'll have that, and then it says Supreme Brush. Ooh. But we're going to swatch a couple. That way I can tell you how they feel. I'm not going to sit here and torture you and swatch them all. Now this is going to bleed because this is not marker paper. But I am picking colors that I hope will be in my set I already own, or close enough so I can kind of compare the markers. Not necessarily the color, but I want to compare them side by side, and the closer the color is, it's just more fun that way. Tahitian Blue. I will swatch this and come back after and show you the whole like thing you get with the 36, but I want to test out the nibs. All right, and then let's find, did they include a red? Otherwise it's not, well, we have two that could be a red. Let's find out. This is R312. I just want to see if I have like a true, this is Magenta Rose. The nib definitely feels different. I will also break out a Copic, don't you worry. Now this is Tomato, R13. Oops, oops. Help if I could stay in the lines. It's not quite a true red. This one's a little too rosy, but when I'm mixing colors, I would rather mix a magenta. So I guess we're gonna go with that then when we're comparing. And then let's try for one more blue. I was just going by the ones that say B because the BV would be blue violet. So let's see how this process blue one looks. Yeah, it's a little closer. All right. Now I'm going to pull out a few of the old school markers and we'll go from there. Okay, I have marker paper in front of me. Granted, this is not marker paper, the swatch chart. So marker paper, it stays wet longer so you can blend and get those seamless blends. But I did want to show you one thing I found when I was trying to find a color close to this blue. Guess what? Process blue from the old one matches up with this one. Are they exactly the same? I don't know, but we're gonna play around and see how these feel. All right, I just gotta keep them apart from one another. So I grabbed that one. I grabbed what I could that was close-ish, just to kind of compare. So, I just wanna see, because really it's just the brush nib that we're comparing here. Does it feel different? It definitely feels different. Interesting. I'm testing a few colors because Ohuhu's brush nibs, at least I've noticed this, tend to have a few differences. Like you'll notice some are stiffer than others, some are softer. Interesting. Okay, okay. Those two are the same color, by the way. Yay me! So it's definitely a softer nib. It definitely bends better. Curious. I mean, I had no qualms with their old nib, but let's try with this one. Yeah, so it is a lot softer of a nib. This is the old nib, and it's a little bit firmer. Doesn't bend as much. This is the new one, and it's very bendy. Very bendy. Let's try. One thing though is it doesn't feel like it puts out as much ink. Could be in my head. I know, those are like the worst colors to blend, right? You can't even see them. But those were the two light blues that I had in my set. I was just trying to see if I could. It has to dry. I'm gonna grab Copics as well and see how those feel in comparison. Okay, I have grabbed Copics in colors close-ish. So we have old, new, Copic. I'm not biased, but that Copic nib is just delicious. Look at me and my color matching though, huh? Huh? That was pretty close. The magenta one was a little bit of a swing and a miss, but you know, it's hard to say on the nib here. Now I like to do little cross hatches because the thing about the Copic nib is it bends, but it has a good snap, meaning it's not going to fray like these older ones can do on you, which is why they made them reversible. But it's bendy, but it also holds its point. It has a great snap back to its form. Whereas this one is just a little bit thicker. That's the lighter blue, but not that it really matters. This one is kind of funny because you have to like sit here and almost like just use them side by side, right? I'm not gonna lie, I still like the Copic better. Nib-wise. I will swatch the rest of these out real fast so we can at least see what colors come in this set, and then I'll go from there. And we've swatched our 36 count set. All right, so let's talk about this set specifically first. Would I buy this set? No, I would not. The price is more than the other Honolulu sets. And this 36 count set is incredibly odd with the colors that they have put in here. There are way too many grays taking up this 36 count set. I mean, if you bought this set, you'd have to be comfortable layering and creating your colors. So, but I mean, they do say that this is marketed for professional artists, so most artists would be comfortable layering and creating new colors with their markers. However, if you are not in that category, you're going to find this a little bit lacking and hard to work with. That said, they still have blends that you could use in here for sure. Some will be more complicated depending on your skill level with markers, but I mean right here, you could use those three as a blend. If you're going for the three blends, you know, tri-blend. You could use those three. You could even use those three. You could use that one, that one, that one. You have some blending options here. You could use that one, that one, that one. But I feel like there's way too many grays in here, which is why I'm going to grab that one little info thing because... Yep. All right. So if you were going to take your time or spend your money right now and try out the Honolulu Plus series, again, this needs to be filled up kind of like this. See how we have all these sets here? Ta-da! And I like how they have them tabbed now. So it shows you like, here's the 320 set, but this is what you get in these ones, these ones, these ones. This is like, they've broken down the 2 pastel sets, but look, I mean, look at how many colors are here. Again, the color codes are not going to be the same. So this is the S series, but let's get back over here to, where'd it go? Okay, so clearly this will be filled out eventually. I mean, if they have 462, right? Yep, colors. I would not waste my money on the 36 count set because look at all the grays they have thrown in here. I mean, look at this. I've got all these grays, which is great if I want to use some grays, right? But I don't. Now, in the 24 count set, you have just a black, or it's not even a black, sorry. It's your charcoal gray, which is this one right here. It's really close to black though. And then you have the BGYs. Oh, your light gray right here. That's really far apart on the spectrum, but whatever. And then you have a pretty good mix of colors. So yeah, this for sets itself, oops, sorry, it's auto-focusing. For sets itself, I wouldn't go with a 36 count set. I mean, and here's the other thing you need to keep in mind. As these expand, as it did when they went from the fine tip to the brush nib, they released them in small sets. You know, and then they had the pastel curated set, the skin tone set. They had like the 120 set. And then they came out with a big set. But then, if you've ever done the work, I haven't. But the lovely Mystic Sparkle Wings has. She went through and found, because there's certain colors you can only go get in the skin tone set. But, to make it worse, some are only available in the 36 skin tone set, not the 24. You got to buy the bigger one. Same thing with the gray tones. And then also there's certain ones that you could only get in the 48 and 96 pastel set, which sucked because you ended up with dupes basically to fill out this full chart. I filled it out because I got full set syndrome. The average person probably should not. It's not very budget friendly, even though Ohuhus are more affordable. If you're going to try this set out, here's the problem. It's an okay palette, but considering the higher price tag and the fact that you know they're going to increase this in the future, and they will have marker refills, I'm curious to see how the refills are going to work out. You know, because they have refills now for their other Honolulus. But this set itself, the colors are just kind of, they leave something to be desired. Let's put it that way. I mean, I can make some blends for sure. And I'll even make some blends on here and try to blend some out just to see. But overall, I would, if you would just want to try the nib, I would go with their 24 count set and not this 36 count set. And then know that when they come out with the bigger set, you are indeed going to be rebuying basically the same markers, right? So let's blend just a few to see how they blend, because one thing is that's nice about Copics with their color range. I mean, obviously, if you have all the Copics, such as my Copic wheel here, you have tons to work with. The colors just vary so slightly to create like flawless blends. But obviously we don't have as many markers to play with. That said, that doesn't mean we can't play with them. So I'm going to create a green real quick. Well, I'm going to try Shamrock YG07. Where did you go? Okay. And then I'm going to try this little lemon chiffon. Now, you can do markers however you want to do markers. And I do markers how I want to do markers. Some people do light to dark, dark to light. Some people put their light down first and layer on top just to get like the ink wet. I don't. I just... This yellow is really light, by the way. It's probably not the best one to choose. I'm just kind of curious. They still don't quite feel... Oh, there's just something, see, I can get a lot more finer detail with this Copic nib than I can do it with this green, but I couldn't do it with the blue. So maybe the nib's just, let's try this green. Okay. So it just seems that one blue and yellow I was playing with had issues. Interesting. Yeah, it's just, I don't know, I just like the way the Copic nib feels a little bit better. This one's definitely a little stiffer. And like I said, it just doesn't feel like it has the same snap. Like when you're using this Copic, it's just not as stiff, whereas this one feels just a teensy stiffer. And that's where I kind of, oop, doesn't go in there. I noticed the difference on that. So it'll be interesting to see what colors they end up releasing of these 462. I'm going to assume it's all the colors they already have. They're just going to create a naming convention. But it would be interesting. That said, nib-wise, if it was just down to nib, I would like my Copic nib better. I still like the Copic better. And then, of course, when it comes to, if you were, say, hey, would this match up to Copic right now? No, because they only have 36 colors. So it can't even really compete. This is your color palette versus your color palette, you know? So There's not much, they can't compete right now. Copic's at 358 colors. I would be very curious to see how Ohuhu gets to 462 colors. If they have a 462 that you can actually buy at once, like you can with Copic. You can buy all theirs and get your 358 colors. So I would be very curious to see when and how long that's going to take, because that's a big thing. Like I said, they're having trouble manufacturing their current stock. So new markers, I'm kind of curious on. But also, if you want to try it, go for the smaller set just to try out the nib. But I still prefer the Copic nib. And then the set itself the marker's not bad. Like once these start releasing more colors, it'll be just like Ohuhu was before. There'll be, you know, a budget-friendly alternative to Copic. However, this one's going to be more expensive. So would I pay for this, the other Ohuhu, or Copics? Well, I would buy my Copics because they're refillable. I can change out the nibs. They're a long-term investment. They have all their colors already done. Their color palette and color coding system is flawless and it's already curated. It's been tried and true and tested for I don't even know how long, longer than I've played with markers. Whereas Ohuhu, their older ones, are a great budget marker. This one though, I think Ohuhu's trying really hard to compete with Copic now. They want to get on the Copic level, and I think they should stick to the lane they were in before. And that's just my opinion, because if you think about it, the old Honolulu, there was nothing wrong with those. They were budget friendly. I play with them all the time, and I use them all the time. And I don't mind the nibs on those at all. But now we have a new nib, new naming system, supposedly 462 colors, a higher price tag, and now they're trying to compete with Copic. But it's going to be a few years before this marker is fully launched to even compete with this one. So for me, if you're like looking at Ohuhu instead of Copic, then just go with the old Ohuhu Honolulu sets, not this new one. Because you'll be buying small sets as they continually release with repeat colors, because the next they might come up with a 48 set. Or maybe they'll wait and do a 96 set, but it'll already have these, so now I've got two. They have refills now, so I don't need two. Back in the day when I doubled up, I needed two because they didn't have refills. They had open stock markers, but not refill. So that's the thing to keep in mind. But it's all preference. I'm curious if you've played with the Honolulu Plus nib and if you like it compared to the Copic. I still like the Copic, and it's not just because I'm biased. There's something with the Copic nib that just feels flawless when you use it, whereas this nib feels a little bit stiffer. Granted, these have been used, although I don't think I've actually ever used this blue, to be honest. So, but yeah, it could be because they're new, but you don't want a nib that softens over time either. It should be ready to go right out the gate. So that's my one notice there between the two. I wouldn't invest in them right now. I would wait and see how they play out. I'll probably color a page on my silent coloring channel with these just to play around with them more. But I don't need to color with them to tell you that it's not worth it right in this moment. Is it in the future? Possibly. If they really do have 462 colors, that might be fun. Really fun to play with. I'd be curious though to see how it looks on a color wheel like with the Copics. Because Ohuhu has always been known for being a lot brighter and bolder, such as these right here. And as you can see, they don't always have the same variants as the Copic. Like Copic just is easy to blend together, whereas Ohuhu took a while to build up their palette. So it'll be interesting to see, but that is my official opinion. If you want a professional marker, go with the Copic. If you want a budget-friendly marker, go backwards to the old Honolulu and wait till this one plays out a little bit longer, and we'll go from there. Thanks for hanging out with me, and until next time, take care. Bye now.